Ladies, good afternoon. Oh. Wow, it's finally here. I am feeling excited and nervous in equal measure. This day is a moment that I've been dreaming of for many months, and it's a day that I'm very proud of. It's also a moment where I'm standing up in front of 80 women that I find incredible and that I deeply admire, and part of me feels utterly terrified. Part of me is thinking, God, hide, run away, don't do this. And I want to start by telling you the story of how that part of me first arrived, because she didn't always exist. I'm 13 years old. French class, second period at my all-girls school. And as always, I am sitting on the front row of class, beaming eagerly up at the teacher. And I know that any minute now she's going to ask a question, and I'm going to shoot my hand into the air, and I'm going to answer that question with enthusiasm and a little bit of gobbiness. But something mysterious and rather sinister has been happening. It's been happening for the past 6 months, maybe the past 12 months, behind me. One by one, every single girl in the class behind me has been putting her hand down rather than up. One by one, every girl in the room has been silently devoicing herself. And I'm the mug who is the last one standing. And for some reason, that day, as my hand goes up, I have the awareness to look around me. And I see that I'm the only one. And I realize with horror that I'm incredibly exposed, and I suddenly feel vulnerable. And before the teacher says anything to me, before she even sees my hand up, it sort of silently slips down and lands in my lap. And it kind of remains there for probably the next 10 years, maybe longer. Maybe there's some ways in which it's still in my lap right now. Now, I don't know who has a similar experience as that. Show me a little show of hands, ironically. Who has a similar experience as that? Yeah. But I think it affects many, many women. And I think if we look at our numbers as women in positions of visibility, we can see the impact. We're in the home of British democracy today. Hurrah, the House of Parliament. And that's very intentional. If we look at the number of MPs, who knows how many MPs, what percentage of MPs are female? Not enough, quite so. 32% only. That's less than a third of our elected representatives are women. Not good enough. 20% of our board members. 20% of our SME owners. Where are all the girls? Where are we? And why are we not sticking our hands up into positions of visibility and power? So it's these questions that I've been grappling with for my professional life. And it's these questions that have brought us here together today. That's what's been inspiring and informing my work. And I'm interested in asking myself and asking us, how do we revoice ourselves as women? How do we get back in the game so that we take up our position of equal leadership in partnership with the brilliant men in this world? So, ladies and gentlemen, one or two, let's welcome everybody here to the very first Game Changers Summit. Welcome! Woo. So, who's in the room today? We have, as I mentioned, 80 incredible women. Women who inspire me, women from different and diverse backgrounds. There's people from finance, people from charities, entrepreneurs, the whole range of interesting, diverse women. Myself, for those of you who haven't met me before, my name's Sarah Lloyd-Hughes. I'm founder of Ginger Public Speaking, founder of this event, and it has been my life's passion to help leaders to be more vocal and more visible and more powerful in their visibility. So it's a great honor to have you here today. We have put you with women who we think you're going to admire, and there's an incredible array of talent in the room. I want you all to meet each other. in the inside cover of your packs is my promise or set of commitments that connects to the term game changer. And these are the beliefs that the women I most resonate with hold closely to their hearts. So let's spend a few moments with each of these. I, as a game changer, commit to taking action as a force for good. As we let those words settle, for me, they make me incredibly inspired. We know that we are capable of getting shit done as a group. We know that, right? Yeah, we are the women who drive change in our organizations, in our industries, and beyond. Some of us do that in an explicitly beneficial for the outside world way. Others of us more aspire to that. But I think we all hold that somewhere inside ourselves. I think that's probably why you resonated with and came to this event. And we are the kind of ladies who see a problem and fix that problem. And that's a quality I admire deeply. I, as a game changer, commit to taking action as a force for good. I, as a game changer, commit to amplifying my voice in service of others to deliver maximum benefit. Because as we've heard from Claire, we cannot serve our world by being invisible. We cannot serve our world by putting someone else up in front of us. Not good enough, not anymore. So I, as a game changer, commit to amplifying my voice. That's my work, actually. It's the work I do with women. And I, as a game changer, and this is the one that makes me feel funny in my tummy, commit to commanding people, money, attention, whatever is needed in order to bring benefit to the world around me. So that's our set of commitments. How do they sound? Yeah. Good. I'm incredibly inspired by those words. I feel them deeply. And yet, there are things that get in the way. Don't we all have aspirations to bring benefit to others? Don't we have aspirations to be that little bit bolder? And my experience working deeply with women around this is that there are at least 3 things that get in the way. And I want to shape those 3 things for you right now. So on the subject of the things that fill your day, I find that this is not an exclusively female problem, but we have a classic tendency for putting other people's agendas ahead of our own. I'm going to share with you the example of one very specific female leader, but she could just as well be many of us in the room. Let me know if any of these things resonate with you. She is an incredible talent. She's built a wonderful, inspiring team around her. Give her a pen, a piece of paper, and a business problem, and she can solve it, just like that. She's inspiring as a leader. And yet, look at the way she organizes her week. Her meetings are back-to-back. She habitually runs 5 minutes, 10 minutes over. She doesn't give herself the bare minimum amount of time to settle into what's going to happen in the next meeting, to go to the loo, to eat lunch. Yeah? Resonance. She works evenings, it pushes into the weekend. Who's resonating? Show of hands, please. Yeah. Oh, double hands over there. Most of us, yeah. And this is so common for so many of us. And what do you think happens as we let other people's agendas fill our day? What happens to our agenda? We're busy on all of the little a agendas, all those things that make us feel like we're being successful. Nice to get through a to-do list. Nice to clear your inbox, if that's even possible for some of you. But the inbox will never be complete. I wonder how many collective emails we've all had since we entered this room. I don't even want to think too much about that. It's probably a horrendous number. So we can spend all of our time focusing on other people's agendas because it feels helpful. Or we can spend loads of time working to serve the agenda that someone else, the vision that someone else is putting forward to us. It might be our boss. It might be our client. It might be our family. And I can say this very much from my heart. I have a little boy. He's 1.5 years right now. Leo is his name. And this morning he was in tears leaving me. And I kind of wanted to chase after him and say, don't worry, Mummy's here. But I had something bigger to do today. I had an agenda that was more important than him, as much as it pains me to say. And it doesn't mean throwing aside our other priorities. We're women who have to juggle. But it does mean that more than I feel comfortable with, I have to prioritize my own agenda because nobody else is going to do it for me. So that's been my first lesson for this work, that we have to know what is our agenda. And that starts with answering a very, very simple, but very difficult for me to answer question. What do I want? Very simple question, difficult to answer. What do I want? If I can articulate what I want on a moment-to-moment, I can start to articulate what do I want for the world. And then I can start to rally other people behind it. So that's the first lesson. Make time for your agenda. Make time to answer the question, what do I want? Secondly, once we know what we want, we've got to get those hands up, right? Because how does anyone else know what we want unless we have our hands up? There's some incredible, inspiring women, as we all know, in this room together today. And I want to hear your voices. Devika, are you here? There she is, hello. Yeah, Devika Woods. I want to change the social care system through technology, right? Mary Claire Starton, I want to change our relationship with boys and their emotional intelligence. Cindy Hoots, I want to bring benefit to 1 billion people through technology. And there are, every one of you, things that you want that I want to hear about. So we have to get our hands up so that people can hear about us. Now, I have a huge hypocrisy in this space because on the subject of putting your hands up, I recently was asked, what's my one wish for women as the centenary of women getting the vote happened. And I was asked, what's your wish for the next 100 years? And I said, I wish for 50-50 men and women in Parliament. Why not? 325 women in the room down the corridor, standing up for our policies and for the ideas that matter to us as women. And then I thought about this, because I don't like to get someone else to do something that I'm unwilling to do for myself. This is the hypocrisy. I asked myself, well, okay, would I ever be an MP? Could I ever see myself sitting at these very tables, having lunch? Could I see myself popping next door for a glass of wine with my colleagues? Could I see myself maybe one day on one of these paintings, on one of these portraits? And I thought about it, and the answer that came back was, fuck no. I'm not political. I'm not impressive as a speaker. I don't have policies in my head. And who the hell would be crazy enough to vote for me anyway? Claire would, thank you. Oh, thanks. Oh, man. Now, this is really not about me becoming an MP because I'm still super scared about this. The idea still terrifies me. But if I'm not even willing to consider engaging with politics, then I cannot speak about putting hands up myself. So we're actually organising a Game Changers group who are going to be hosted by an MP, a female MP, in a few weeks from now. And we're going to have a tour of the House of Commons, and then we're going to sit down at dinner and talk about politics and talk about becoming MPs. So if you want to be in on that, let me know. Yeah. So it might not be you or I standing for MP, but it might be. But we have to get our hands up more. And then what happens when we do have our hands up? So here's my hand up in a situation where normally it wouldn't be. And it's up. And what's happening now? Is everybody suddenly paying attention, listening to me, taking on every single message I have? No, maybe not. Maybe they are actually ignoring me, which can feel horrible because I've dared to put my hand up and I'm not getting the attention that I would like to. But even worse than that, what if they do start to listen? What if all the heads turn towards me and now suddenly there are people disagreeing with me? There are people even criticizing me. We know that this is very real for men and for women, but we know the pain that it takes and that the energy that it takes out of us when we feel criticized. You just have to look at Hillary Clinton and to see the level of vitriol that can physically face itself in the direction of female leaders. So we kind of have to be willing to get through that pain boundary and not only put our hands up, but actually wave and keep waving and keep waving and keep putting our hands up and keep waving until people notice us. And daring to do that again and again and again, even when we feel attacked and even when we feel like we can't do it anymore. For me, that's why groups like this are such an important thing. We have the opportunity to encourage each other forwards. We have the opportunity to say, wow, that was a crap day. That was really brutal. You know, we have the opportunity to take people like Theresa May under our wing and say, come on, darling, it's all right. You're doing a good job. As a woman to woman, you can keep doing it. And I think also associated with this, the capacity for us to take up more space. Because this is fundamentally what we're doing when we're saying, look at me. Taking up space. And it's so often something that women are very poor at. From the desire to physically be slimmer, taking up physically less space in our bodies, to removing ourselves from opportunities to speak. And even when we do stand up to speak, or even when it is our turn in the meeting to speak, how can we take up more space? And what I've learnt around this, and what I help women with, is slowing it down, is holding that gravitas, and is being willing to overrun your time, being willing to elbow a little bit more space for you, because we know that when women speak up, they don't just do it for themselves, they do it on behalf of all of the people that are behind them, that are around them, and that they are serving. So, finding out what we want, getting our hands up, and then waving them. These, I think, are the activities of truly game-changing women and men. And that might feel arrogant. We might feel sick doing it, but we know that we're doing it for the greater good. Because I commit to being a game changer. I commit to taking action as a force for good on this planet. I commit to amplifying my voice so that others hear it and that others benefit from it. And I commit, yes, to commanding people, money, and attention in service of the change that the world so desperately needs. Thank you very much. Just bring this incredible afternoon to a close by sharing a story with you, a final little story. And as you will have gathered, 4 of the 5 women today have been on an incredible journey with me over the past 8 months. They've been participants in my Leaders' Voice program. And a few weekends ago, we took a trip to Speaker's Corner, didn't we, ladies? Oh, yeah. And the trip there was designed as a rite of passage for us to be able to voice up. Now, I've taken dozens of groups there, And yet this time, there was something very particular in the energy. I had my stepladder over my shoulder. We were walking towards Speaker's Corner. And the closer we got, the more I felt the fear rise in my stomach and land in my throat. All I could see were groups of men, packs of men, often shouting at each other. Groups of men videoing male speakers. Jewish people and Muslim people kind of arguing together. A Christian guy preaching with his finger pointing about something about Jesus. A militant vegan with a placard standing up against a militant anti-vegan with a placard. And the closer we got, the more I felt the hum of energy, and it didn't feel altogether safe. That was my feeling. We started walking around, and the more time we spent there, the more I thought, oh my God, why have I brought my clients here? And how can I dare to stand up in front of all these men? We looked around and we saw only one woman daring to stand up. And for those of you who don't know what Speaker's Corner is, it's the home of freedom of speech. Absolutely anybody can get up there on a Sunday afternoon, stand on a stepladder, and have a good rant about whatever they choose. And yet only one woman had decided to come there that Sunday. And that's incredibly common. And you can make excuses. You can say, no wonder why. It's such an aggressive environment. It's terrifying. Why would any woman do that? We've got better things to do. We've got better things to worry about than arguing with people. And it felt kind of real in that moment. I wasn't sure whether we were going to manage it. But we did. And we looked magnificent. And you know what happened? As each woman, one by one, stood up, I saw the magnificence that we all carry with us. I saw it. And it came out in a way that built a fire within my stomach. After our first speaker, who was Bailey, I felt braver. I knew that I could do it myself. And what happened in the audience was also incredible. The audience, some of them were professional hecklers. I see them every time I dare to go there. And some of them were just general members of the public. We saw some girls standing there with their eyes wide open to see these women standing up in front of them. We saw huge men who were terrifying looking. And what happened as we spoke was that they engaged. They weren't aggressive anymore. And they said to us, wow, you are different to all the noise that's going on here. You listen to us. You've got wisdom. We are amazed. And they said to us, we want you to come back every weekend. Yeah. So, of course, you know the point that I'm getting to. Yes, it's Speaker's Corner, and maybe Speaker's Corner would be very much a better place if more of us took our voices there every weekend. But it's not just those situations where our voices need to be heard. It's all of those situations where, as you step towards it, the fear rises from your stomach to your throat. It's all of those situations where we look around and we only see men and we think, God, is this safe? Is it safe for me to have a voice? And it's all of those situations where we feel, wow, this is kind of getting aggressive and I'm not sure if I want to be a part of this. We have an incredible power. The way that we think, the way that we communicate, and the things that we care about are of service to the world. And we simply must get our voices out more. That's what I've got.